Yes, Marcus, good to be chatting to you again. It's been 6 years now. Next Saturday night it'll be 6 years since My God-Given Right came out. Now 6 years is far too long between albums, but you've got a pretty good excuse in that you guys have been very busy in the meantime. This whole Pumpkins United thing, that is huge. When did it come together, and how daunting was it?
Well, we did the Hellish Rock Tour, part 1 and part 2 with Gamma Ray, and Kai was there. And that already felt really, really familiar to us, right? And hanging out with this Kai guy, was like he's never been away, you know. It was like easy, and we hang out on buses, we hang out in hotels, we hang out in venues, playing together a couple of songs, you know. That gave us a little idea about how it's going to be playing together with Michael Kiske in the future, you know. But it took a lot of time to convince people, and we needed time to get this thing right, you know. And asking Michael, he had his thinking about it, but it would have been stupid not even trying it, you know. So we gave it a try, we gave it a shot, and started with a tour instead of going into the studio directly, you know.
So even back then, you were thinking ahead to a studio album?
Well, we thought of if you do a tour, and it's not just in case it wouldn't work, you know, then you of course can do a couple of shows. You can do a tour, and if it's not fitting, you can say goodbye afterwards, you know. But if you're right in the middle of a creative process, like working together in the studio, creating new tracks and all that stuff, it's not that easy if the understanding is not right, you know. This is like you easily can do a tour without going on your nerves, because you could go back to your hotel room or something like this. If something cruel has happened, you can still do the tour. But in a studio, it would have been right. It would have been very complicated if you're going on your nerves, but still you got to do some tracks together, you know. So that's why we actually started with a tour and then deciding doing an album. But as the tour went on, and the reaction are being really, really great, you know, there was so much energy from the people lifting us up and kind of, you know, putting us together all the time. That felt really, really great, and gave us the idea that this is going to work. And the understanding was cool. The understanding was great, you know. So after the tour, we decided definitely to try to work on new tracks, you know.
Right. Was there a specific show or a specific moment in a particular show where you sort of looked at someone on stage and thought, yes, this is going to work? Or was it just flowing great right through?
It's probably being the first shows we did when it worked out very, very well. We knew, wow, there's something going to be happen.
Yeah.
Just because of the energy, as I said, the energy from the people puts us in a real emotional mood. You know, it was just like there's so much coming back from the audience, and that is actually the kickstart you get when you're playing live. It's just like the emotional reaction from the audience is just like driving you, you know. And that was happened from the very, very first beginning at the very first show. And there we thought it's going to happen. This is something special.
Yeah, I was watching with interest from afar, and the tour kept going, and the shows kept coming, and then the festivals, and I thought, this is interesting. Something might come of this. So we've got an album we're just about to come out with. Heard it for the first time earlier on today. Excellent album. Thank you so much. Let's talk about this.
All right. Well, we went back into the studio. Before we went into the studio, we had a couple of months writing on ourselves, collecting ideas, and then we started like sending tapes. Sending files nowadays around listening to stuff till we thought we got enough stuff to hook up together. As we are living in different parts of the world, we met back in Hamburg, where it all started, and then listening back to the tracks everybody was doing, having loads and loads of ideas, having loads and loads of songs, and then it took a couple of hours listening to all those ideas. And we didn't make the final decision then. We gave us a couple of more weeks to listen to it, to give the music the chance to grow, You know how it is probably. You're listening to one song for one time, and you're listening, it's turning into a very, very different song if you listen to it a couple of times, or 3 or 4 weeks later. It becomes a totally different song because you understand it better, or you hear it with different eyes than you did hear it the very first time. So we gave it a couple of weeks to decide to hook up again, and then make a decision what songs we are going to take to, actually paint the picture. Going with that idea, we went back into the studio for a month, just like rehearsing the bits and pieces and the songs we already kind of chose,
One thing that intrigues me about this is 2 lead vocalists who've been in the band at separate times, having to write songs together and sing together. Has that proved difficult, or has it proved remarkably easy? What's the...
It was not really easy having 2 more people into the whole process of writing songs. It's not going to make it more easy. It's just like 2 more people are throwing ideas at you while you are playing, It's just like your head is exploding from all those ideas, and we have loads of discussions because each and every member has a different idea about what to play, how the parts should sound, how the parts should be played. And this is sometimes not really easy, and we have big discussions about it. But this makes the whole process even more interesting, We had like 2 persons not being in the band, like producer Charlie Bauerfeind and the co-producer Dennis Ward, always checking what the song really needs. Some pair of ears from the outside are listening to it is always great. So this way you don't lose the track, It's not going to be easy working like this, but it's also very, very interesting, very creative process, and a very, it was all worth it after all. It's a lot of notes coming at you, You got to sort out. You got to find the real notes to satisfy the song.
It's a long album too, over an hour. Was it difficult to get down to this length album? Was there more material?
There was definitely more material because we ended up with having 5 or even 6 songwriters in the band, and everybody has ideas, and there was tons of stuff, but we couldn't really use all of it. But then it's hard to. Some songs are really there. You think that's it. This is definitely going to be on the album. But there's others. They have this kind of the same class, and you don't know if you take this song or that song. There's many songs you're not sure about, but you got to start somewhere, right? And then you have to make this decision. This song goes back in the trash can. We rather work on that song, and it was not easy to make those decisions. And also about this subject, everybody has like different opinions, but in the end of the day, they're all got to fit on one record, and that's the only way to make a record. They all have to fit on one picture in a way,
Album balance.
Yeah, so to say.
Tell us about the song Skyfall. All 12 minutes of it. You've pulled a Helloween again.
Yeah, it's like one of Kai's moments, Once he's starting writing something, he's just on the right track, you know. It's just amazingly fitting what Helloween is doing, of course. He only wrote this one track, but this one was like the title track in a way, so to speak, right? And he's got that story, and why not make it? We didn't really try to make it. We didn't really plan to make like a long song like this. It just came out like this, and when we heard it, we thought, all right, we just tried to get the best out of it without copying the Keeper stuff, just creating something new, you know.
With all the songwriters you were mentioning, many people throwing ideas at you and having to whittle it down, it must be hard to look ahead and create a song list. How are we going to go there when this comes out live? Have you worked out what's going to be played live and what's not going to be played live? Have you thought that far ahead?
I think we definitely gonna do Skyfall. I think this is one of the strongest live thing we can do from that album. I really don't know. We have more long songs, and it's not gonna be. It doesn't make it easier to choose a set list, because you want to play the old long songs as well. That's why we kind of like the idea to do like longer tracks, cutting it into half and do like medleys from the long stuff. Otherwise, you cannot do like 1 hour for spending 1 hour in the set just for 4 songs, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're missing a lot from the stuff the people really want to hear as well, you know.
Because if you did Helloween and Skyfall, that's half an hour gone.
That's half an hour. Then you have Keeper and then you have Keeper and maybe King for 1,000 years. I mean, what you going to do, you know? Then you have 1 hour for 4 tracks, something like this.
What's happening now? We've got this album coming out very soon. How are things going over there? How is the scene going? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? I've noticed shows are being booked here and there. Are they looking promising?
Well, actually the whole tour is booked for almost a year. We had some festivals in the end of the year, like the end of the summer, but it's not going to happen. You know, they're all cancelled because of the situations. There's too much. It cannot be done. You know, and so we don't do anything this year. We rebooked the tour and we start next year, April something, hoping that everything is getting better and everybody had, most of the people has their second injections and all that. So the whole situation is hopefully a bit more controllable and it's not as dangerous and we're not go into quarantine each time we leave any state or whatsoever, you know. And so we're booked from April. We will actually hopefully starting the tour in April next year. We cannot really do anything this year. It's not really possible in Europe and also in other territories. I mean, South America is a very big market for us, but just have a look over there. It's not going to be happening now.
Just heading back to the Pumpkins United tour, how much of a logistical problem was it having a show that big with all these people? Was it a challenge? Did you seem to manage it okay? How did you go?
I think it was been managed really, really good because we're involved into the ideas, of course, but we're not going there and doing it all. We just have been asked what we want to do, and there's like great ideas from the management, great ideas from the technicians. So we let them do their job, you know. We just go into the rehearsal room, which was like a bit more complicated than the other tours we did, because we have one more guitarist, one more singer. You have to think about who's singing what part, and everybody's singing like an even part of the show, you know, an even time part of the show. It needs to be balanced as well. And then you have a third guitar, thinking about where he's going to play the rhythm guitar, where he's going to play the lead guitar, and if he's going to play some third harmony in a way or not. This was like a very, very intense process to rehearse for that, but you know, it was also very fun.
I bet it was. What's your best memory then from the early days of Helloween? When did you first think to yourself, this is going to work?
Actually, when we did the first record, going back into when we had the first, there's also a lot of situations where you thought, well, this is going to be all right. This is going to be taken over, you know, taken over my daily life routine, which was cool. When we did, we did the 2 songs on the death metal sampler, and after that we did the mini LP, followed by the Walls of Jericho. You know, this was all thinking, wow, this is a step into the business. With the Keeper, it became bigger. The first American tour started, you know, that was giving us an idea about, wow, this is a nice rock and roll life. I don't want to really miss it again. This is what I love doing, you know. This is what I like to do.
Hey, it's been great chatting with Markus from Helloween. They've got an excellent new album coming out on June 18th. I've heard it. It's fantastic. Get into it. Markus, thanks so much for talking to me again.
All right. Thank you. Been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.